Hello everyone, this is Rosemary and this is a walkthrough of this fairy journal that I just completed for a private swap. The title is My Fairy Tale, and the cover, as you can see, my favorite technique is to use the crunching up some paper, and it's a napkin decoupage with my new favorite napkin. So the button closure, and here you can see there are 3 signatures. I decided to try one of the bead dangles, and I use silk cording and knotting. I had some, some silk cording floating around in my stash. I used to do a lot of beadwork, and I decided to put it in. Undecided whether I would include it in many of my future journals. The back is just plain. You get an idea. And the closure is this ornate green elastic, which I think goes really well. So here we go. The inside, as you see, 2 tags. The story begins and dream. So again, I used some of my paper stash. And here it begins with a little cut, a touch of magic. And again, on this little flap, because it didn't quite fit the way in the journal, I put it as a side flap, and the story begins. Here is a Pinterest printable that I glued on top of it, and I accidentally cut the page a little too short, so I put some lace there, and so it begins. I use some napkin, my napkin decoupage, and this is actually a flip out, and you see it flipped out with a printable, How to Tell a Fairy is Nearby. And here's one of my favorite fairy stamps, and I use some gold embossing powder. And so, as you can see, it's a very ornate page, but still plenty of room to journal. This is a memo pad I have, and I did some cutouts. She wanted a few little gnomes, and this is a page of a book I found at a thrift store on potpourri, and I thought it was such a colorful book, so I used some of the pages there, and it was a pretty big size square page, and so what I did was I flipped over the side there. So I left it, if she the new owner, so if she wants to get how to make this potpourri, there it is. This is just a square of some paper I found on sale. This is I have a set of fairy stamps and the gold embossing there on a composition page that I like to use. And I was rather surprised that when I turned it over, the ink went through, but I think it's rather pretty, double duty, and it worked out really well. Here's a pocket, and this is you're gonna see this napkin. I received this napkin in a napkin swap, and I use it throughout this journal. This is an envelope I found at a thrift store, a whole stack of them for $0.10. Somebody must have made them. And again, some stamping, and I did some fussy cutting, and another tiny little stamp here in this tiny little tuck spot here. So a lot of hidden pockets there just to add a little fun to it. This is a really pretty fairy. As you can see, it stands fine as it is. I think she's just very pretty, and you could journal all around her, or you could include these 3 tuck spots, which are nice. And again, some of this memo paper I was gifted says notes, and I couldn't resist putting a little bit of napkin decoupage of notes also, double play on words. And again, this is this tuck spot at the very top is a napkin decoupage, and I use it up there as a tuck spot. Again, one of my favorite Martha Stewart punches. And let me turn it over. This is kind of a fun page. It's a flip up, And I have my fairy and a little gold embossing there. Again, I have that envelope and some birds just to kind of finish a page. When a page is this big, this journal is kind of large. Pages are about 8.5, some are 9 by 6. It's a pretty large journal as I'm maneuvering it through here. And I put this little half page here because of trees, and I just thought it looked really nice. And this is a stamp my friend Teresa lent me, part of her stamp collection here. And I was gifted this little tag of trees. And there you see my memo pad, and I put a little gnome down at the bottom. And again, napkin decoupage. And I embossed the fairy. You can see her right there, and this one down here, you can't really tell she's there. But just to add a little magic to the page there. So that's why the tags are kind of sideways. This is one of my favorite pages. Again, this is that napkin decoupage. And this is the napkin that I was gifted. And in a swap, I think last year, and I really liked it. You could see that the ink went through from the fairy right there, but I think it adds a little magical quality to it, so I kind of like it. You have to kind of be careful with the embossing. I think it makes the ink bleed through. And I found this cute little gnome, and on his, looks like a little, was traveling home, and it's actually half a page, and it flips out, and you can see it's a tuck spot. And if I take the tags out, you can do some journaling there also. Let me put them back in. And right here on the right side here, this is, I found this book in the children's section, and it again had wonderful borders. I'm going to have to stay out of the thrift stores because I have quite a collection of books. But every so often, well, very often, I find these beautiful gems of books. And there you see some shamrocks. This is the center of the signature. And again, I put a little lace down at the bottom. You can do whatever you want. Journal there. And here are 2 tags just to kind of demonstrate there. Nothing like my dogs cooperating. They can tell when I'm filming. Now I had this giant doily, and I thought it was rather fragile. So what I did was I decoupaged a napkin. This is a napkin that was on the cover of this journal. So it's a little shiny on that, but I do like that effect. This is an envelope with a tag. I don't know what I did with the tag. I don't know if I used it. I strengthened the envelope a little bit. And here's the other side. And so this is the center, and I decided to do that with my center signatures. Here is the fairy. And, these fairies are printables from Pinterest. And what I like to do is I like to cut out, I do a lot of fussy cutting. And I like to cut out the background, so all you can focus is usually on the fairy right there. So, and then again, some lace. This is also one of my beautiful favorite pages, and it really focuses on napkin decoupage. So you see this is also a napkin from the swap, but it was a very small napkin. So what I did was I kind of cut it. And it's supposed to be like a scene with, you see the little gnome and he's looking out. And it's kind of a strange thing to do. When I showed it to someone, they thought it was when it was in progress. But I do like that effect. Now this is also, she wanted mermaids. And I said, well, that was a big challenge for me because my collection of mermaids is not as big. But I found this printable on Pinterest, which I thought was really pretty. And down here is another napkin and a mermaid. And here is the flip out. It's a pocket. There is a tuck spot here also. And this is a napkin decoupage up here. Just to kind of give that ocean look. So up here, it's kind of hard to see. You could put some pictures, some sayings on there. It has a great deal of flexibility, this pocket here. And so it flips down, and the Little Mermaid, it's one of those gorgeous girl mermaids, is kind of keeps the flap up and down, as you can see her right here. So this is just a beautiful page. And what I did really with this journal is I started creating scenes with napkin decoupage, which, you know, I really do enjoy doing that. And I really do just plain enjoy doing that. And here's another, this book is kind of big, is a fairy. And she's on I found a napkin that had almost the matching flower. And here's her tag, Giggle, and it opens up. And so she is like a little tuck spot right back here. And it flips open. And this page is pretty plain, but there's a lot of flexibility. So it looks like this page is not it's decorated, but there's a lot of room to do whatever you want with this. Again, you see my memo pads, which I tend to do just to add some uniformity to, you know, make the journal kind of fit together. And I think I took a tag out. Just napkin decoupage there. Down here, you can see the little fairies dancing couple. And I made kind of note cards, journaling cards from the same Martha Stewart punch that I used on the page. I think it's rather effective. And again, this paper that you've seen. On this side, I put some down here. And what I did was, I don't really like to spend a lot of money on my printing. So I have a very reasonable printer, but I try to, you know, get small little prints and add them as touches here and there in the journal. Here's an example right here, and here's the tag. Up here is it was a cupcake liner. If you can see it right there. And it had been wandering in my stash, and all of a sudden I had my aha moment to make it into a pocket. This is also a greeting card, and I cut it because you see how pretty it is, and it's a tuck space. Right here in the corner, you see my another one of my favorite fairy stamps there, and they're in gold embossing right there. This is what I described before, except I had a slight accident. I dropped the stamp. And here it kind of passes. So, you know, accidents do happen when you're stamping. But I covered it up with this cute little boy on a butterfly there. So it also is a tuck spot. And here again is the other side of the book page, the potpourri. And the tuck right here. This is a stationery card that I cut in half. Somewhere along the way, you'll see the other half. But I thought it worked well. As you can see, a gnome there. And this is an envelope of a card that I used. And these are actually, I found these little fairies in the paper doll section. And they came with like 5 little outfits. So my printer scanned 5 little fairies. So they all look different, but they came from the same source. And again, this has great possibilities there for the new owner. It's an envelope where you can stash things. This is also a tuck spot. And again, it's kind of a secret page. Like this paper, the stash was Once Upon a Time. And when I cut the pages, I had all these large kind of 3-inch sides. So this is a tuck, a tag with Princess, and this is the page. And it's an envelope, and it opens up so that you can do some added journaling. And this time, because I thought my journal sometimes balloon on me, I decided to add a center signature that it's plain, just a collection of white papers I had floating around. And so you know, this is what it is. And I kind of like it quite a bit because I've seen many journals where they're just kind of, they call them naked journals, and I thought about it, and I never quite got it off, and this time I think I did. You can see how plain papers of different kinds are kind of nice, so the new owner can do whatever she wants with this signature, which I think is kind of fun. And again, you can see some of my coffee staining, and so that's just the second signature. And the reason I did it was just to give this journal a little bit more flexibility because I thought it was going to balloon. Okay, this is the beginning of the second signature. And you see that napkin, the same napkin I've kind of been focusing. Up here is one of my fairies, and again, it's in gold embossed because there's something magical about them. And here, didn't know exactly what was going to happen with this page. It's just kind of, I went crazy with my napkin decoupage, as you can see. And you can see a tiny little fairy right here, and she's a tiny little tuck. Did not put a little tag there, but that's a little, and then I put this little tag right here, and it really, I think, makes this page work. Again, this is one of the paper dolls I told you about, with different outfits. They all look different. This is also a paper doll fairy, and this page opens up. This is I put 2 of them in this journal, and this is a greeting card with the daisies I was gifted. People love to give me things, and I found these neat printables on Pinterest, and I made a pocket from the back of the book page. And there you see, this was a card I was, I love to cut apart cards and give them more life. And this was made, and it makes a wonderful tag. And I found this, again, Pinterest, and I really fell in love with it. And it's really, from this one print, I got like 3 sections. So there you see it. It opens up. This is a piece of material. I want to thank Andrea for giving me this little strip of material that makes a wonderful hinge. There you see the cupcake down here holder. This is the rest of that tag. So there's a lot of fun in this page. And you can see kind of the castle in the background, which I wanted to have. And so it's kind of like making scenes. Oops, forgot about a page. This is the card that went with that envelope right there. And I forgot, I have to finish one thing to it, and I forgot about the journaling card. But if you look at it like that, it looks just like scrapbook paper. And so this, sometimes you get some beautiful cards. My mother gives them to me because they are from charity. This is a piece of just leftover paper. Once you cut it, I usually like to, and this is really, but I thought it wouldn't quite work as well. Maybe it does work just as well, but I liked it better upside down like that. And on the side is napkin decoupage and a little bit of punching. And again, that gold embossing. As you can see, I just kind of changed my papers. There's the gnome and some birds up there. This is one of my favorite printables. So it just added a little interest, yet I think keeping the journal with plenty of room to do something. This is the other half of that card that folds up. And I just left it there. She wanted some mermaids, so this is a Julie Nuttingly that I like to use every so often. So this is what she looks like, and I had this little tag, believe, and I only glued part of her down, so it looks like she is holding this tag. This was also a mermaid, and I just colored her and put her on a journal card because it says journal, of course. And this paper was white with these stars up here, and I just dyed it. And this is also a really beautiful page. As you can see, this is just the scrapbook paper for Once Upon a Time. And I cut apart the fairy. You would not notice her because of all the background until she was fussy cut. And I just think it looks just perfect there. On this side, you can see the napkin decoupage, and it is, you see my tags right there. And this is one of those fold outs, the flower, and there down, oops, can't see it there. You can see that I stamped hello dear friend with one of my, the one that you've already seen. So, and then it tucks, oops, like I said, this is a pretty big journal. It tucks behind the flower right there. My friend Teresa lent me some of her stamps, which was really kind of wow. And I decided to use gold just to give them that little magical quality. Magic is all around us. You just need to know where to look. And again, you see that same, it's just the same style of doily, except a different color, different napkin, the envelope in the middle. And again, you can see this also has some napkin and the embossing and stamping. So I used all those techniques. And again, this is one of those again, that folds up. It's a doily kind of cover. This is, remember that sunflower with all the little fairies? Well, this is part of it. This is what I mean by cutting it apart, and you will see it. It opens up, and you can just, it tucks right there. And it, as you can see, is a pocket. And then this is another elf, or gnome that I thought was just so cool with the frog. And I think if you took the tags out, it stands alone. And as you can see, I was getting into creating scenes with the napkins. And again, this is the napkin right there that I use. And so my tags tend to be kind of plain because of all the detail on the pages. This is the other mermaid page, and I dyed some lace there. And this is a tag that's been floating around forever. And like I said, people, when they know I do these kinds of, I like to stamp. So I flipped it open and put a little lace there. It works wonderfully well. And I don't know what, I was cutting out my printables, and there's some more and I can't find them. It's terrible. And again, here's that mermaid. It's a stamped image, and I just left the tag like that, and I think I like it. And there you see some lace. There you see the little fairy with another dress. Again, the napkin decoupage behind a book page, and you can see there that it is what it looks like without the tags, with the tags. Just added some interest on here, added a butterfly. Up here is again another fairy. Up here it's a top tuck. And I found these on Pinterest, and I just thought she was so pretty. This is more of a modern edge, but she looks so pretty with that pink, this pink paper. This is a more vintage style fairy. And so as you can see, they're really just very small little fairies, but I think it really adds to this fairy tale book. And this is again one of my favorite pages. It's napkin decoupage, and the napkin was not, I purposely left half of it off, so it gives it that different, it doesn't have to be, like it's flowing off the page. And the butterfly came with a napkin, and there you can see my little girl with another dress. And up here is, I was telling you about this book page, this book full of all these wonderful borders, and I did some fussy cutting and took out, this is where the writing was. Here's another little gnome, and it's a tuck spot also. And up here, because it was such a big page, there is a tag up here, a pocket that you can, and it just kind of looks decorated along with the lace right here on the side. This, again, you can see I fussy cut the background, and once I glued her on, that's all this page needed. That was it. She's just beautiful. I just add a little paper just to, you know, make it look so people see that she is a tuck spot. There you see another little gnome in the potpourri pages, and I just think it works. It's cute. And a tuck spot. This is just one of those pages that everyone's seen. And as we're coming to the end, this is again the printable, and you can see how I fussy cut. This is a tag. This is one of the fairies that came from this. And I don't know if you saw that greeting, that page with the flowers. This is the back of the card. So I cut it apart, or I used my die. I have a die, and it worked out perfectly. So you can use all parts of a card if you see something of interest. So it's kind of, I don't know, it works by itself, but I kind of like it also. And we come to the end, the last page, True Love's Kiss. And I have this stamp here. And I had to hinge this because I didn't like, it was down at the bottom. I really didn't like where it was located. I wanted like a flip. So I used right here the Martha Stewart's punch. And I have this stamp, Real Love Stories Don't Have Endings. And it's a pocket. There's plenty of room to journal, do whatever. And here is, again, some pockets, fairest of them all. And it says, Dare to be Remarkable. And this is the end. And because this lace is so big, it's a bulky knot, but I think there's a lot of space there. So this is my fairy journal. It's really a big affair, but I really like it very much. Again, you can do a lot with napkins. You know, by now, if you follow me, you know I love to use napkin decoupage to create some wonderful pages. You just have to turn your napkin this way and that way and cut it apart, and you find, you know, you can use it in many, many different ways. So again, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.